Hey everyone, welcome to the GameGravy Rewind podcast. This is Michael speaking, and this is episode 69.
69.
And 69, and I got Dante and Chris with me. Say hi, guys.
We're finally here to the special episode.
This episode's going to be about our favorite romances in video games and sex in video games and all that fun stuff today. Whether it's good, bad, not enough, all that good stuff. We'll talk about games and our the relationships and all that good stuff because it's Valentine's Day.
Yes, and Valentine's Day indeed. So we need to celebrate this.
And before we go further and dive into it, based on pure statistics and our viewpoints that are going to be coming across here, out of all three of us, I'm single. Michael, obviously. Chris, are you single?
I am currently talking with someone at the moment, so semi-single, but not really single.
So you're single. Dante is engaged.
Yes.
So our viewpoints will vary and differ based on our maturity levels and relationship status, or lack thereof, and relationship status. Because, believe it or not, anybody can listen to this podcast, so we have to be held accountable for our words.
Yes.
Which I don't really care, but no.
And if you're listening to this right now, I am sorry for anything that's being said.
Yeah.
You know who you are.
Too bad we don't have a disclaimer. But don't worry, we're not going to get offensive.
No.
Well, at least we're trying not to, but whatever. Anyways, all right, let's start off with the easy one, right? Mm-hmm. Our favorite video game romances, our favorite romances within video games. I'm going to start it off with the most obvious one of all. Mario and the princess.
Of course.
And then the second obvious one, which could be some people's first, is Zelda and Link.
Yeah, but some people don't realize. People think Zelda is Link, but then
Yeah, no, Zelda's the girl, Link is the dude with the sword. If you don't know that, I don't even know how you made it to this podcast.
You never know. This is the.
You never know. That's right. Keywords. This is a special episode. Yeah. But yeah, no, that's just in case if you're a gamer and you always wondered, or you're not old enough. That's what that is. The other one is Final Fantasy VII, Cloud and Ares. And I like to throw in there the love that never was. Tifa. She could have done well with Cloud. She could have. Even though it was unreciprocated love.
Now,
he was too busy brooding and polishing his Buster Sword.
Exactly.
Rightfully so, because that sword was pretty badass.
But it was like as tall
it
as
was
him.
busting people. So, it was busting people, dude. This was probably Chris's favorite, Nate and Elena.
Oh, of course. I have to give a round of applause for that one. Absolutely.
Yeah, I think that's my favorite one too. I think that's the best written, the most real, real world.
Yeah.
Written out of all of them. Minus the
shooting people,
tomb raiding,
Sure.
and mass murder and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Well, they're real people. The actors and actresses are really good. They're like legit voice actors.
Yeah.
You feel for them, like.
Yeah, we talked about that. I think in our Uncharted podcast that we had.
Mm-hmm.
It's just the way that they can convey emotion through the their facial expressions and things like that,
right.
because the motion capture is incredible.
Yeah, and not only that, sorry to cut you off, Dante, but not only that, but like even when the scene in Uncharted 4, when they were just like having dinner, and they were just like, oh yeah, well, like how was your day, and then she'll talk about her day, and then he'll be drifting off into thinking about what his next adventure will be, and they'll have a little rebuttal. It's like, oh, so what do you think I was talking about? It's like, oh, you were talking about this, right? Like, no, I was completely talking about the other thing. But, you were way off the ballpark and whatnot. And then they have the rebuttal of the fact of like, hey, yeah, you cook dinner, let me do the dishes, kind of a thing. And then they were like, oh, no, don't worry, I'll play you for it. Like,
yeah, they're like real life. It's real life kind of feeling.
Like, so like that for me, I find that more enjoyable than
it's like refreshing. Yeah, I think
I find that more enjoyable and kind of like relationship goals wise than anything else.
Like witty banter.
Yeah, I mean witty banter. Playful witty banter. It can't be, arguing with each other. Then it's just.
Do you seriously want to play Crash Bandicoot to see who washes the dishes?
Yes. I mean, who wouldn't?
That is true.
Man, I would never do dishes ever again.
Yeah, that's poor Sarah. Yeah, that's true.
Between Mario and Crash Bandicoot,
you do cook. You cook really well too. I can attest to that.
I think it's like I think it's just a testament to Naughty Dog, just how well they can write that relationship. And through its ups and downs too, over a 4-game span. You know, they've done a great job.
It makes you wonder if someone maybe over there has a relationship like that, and they just kind of mirrored it from that. I mean, some people write based on what they know and what they've seen in life.
Maybe.
You know?
Sure.
I mean, besides being a really good writer, I mean, a lot of things have been written from reality.
From the with the old guard though, it's wonderful to see Mario and the princess keep up that spark after over 30 years.
I know,
and,
right?
And Link and Zelda as well.
Yeah.
But don't both Zelda and the princess get taken in the games like every single time though?
Yeah, I mean that's on my list too, though. I mean, the unreciprocated, maybe forced love is, you know, Bowser and the princess. That's a romance, right? It's an unrequited romance that, you know.
Bowser's just looking for love in all the wrong places.
Right. Maybe, you know, she'll just feel bad for him and, you know, wear him down.
If he didn't have so many kids, I think he'd have a better chance of finding a date.
Possibly.
Yes, probably. Too many, you know.
He's got too many baby mamas.
Troopas. Yeah, but, you know, he'll just wear her down eventually, and she'll just say, "Fine. Sorry, Mario. He got me."
She probably did that already.
Kind of like Michael Scott in The Office. Anyways, so the other one is from The Witcher, Gerald and Trist. You guys think about that?
Honestly, I never really dabbled into it. Besides playing Witcher 3 like a little bit, and then it's like, oh, well, their relationship, and oh, look, there's a sex scene. Okay, man, I was left it at that.
That was pretty steamy, sweet. I like that.
I thought they did a great job. If you guys have played Witcher 3, right?
I have.
Okay, I mean, I thought they did a great job writing their relationship as well, because they're able to, even if you didn't play 1 or 2 or read the books, like they've done a great job of giving that relationship a lot of history, even if you haven't played it. So
you kind of see some nuances going back and forth, kind of like almost like the the Uncharted game, kind of like that.
Yeah, they're
definitely a lot of playing back and forth.
Yeah, their playful antagonism towards one another is great. Like just the writing, the acting, and all that is wonderfully done. So
yeah, and a game. The other one would be a game with that doesn't really have much love in it, but violence. You know, what could have been Snake and Meryl. Even though it was, you know, totally with the general's daughter. Could have been. Maybe. She hit on him kind of a lot in that game.
She wanted it. She wanted
the
solid snake.
I was like going to see it. I was like, is someone going to say that?
I knew Chris was going to make that joke, so I let it go.
Okay, good.
I knew he had that. I knew he had that in his back pocket.
Yeah.
Like nope.
There we go.
Honestly, I just thought of it, but yeah.
You know, going on. That's pretty good. That's freestyle right there. The other one that you mentioned, Chris, was or was it Chris or I don't know, Chris or Dante? Was Don and Maria from Gears of War.
Yes. Yeah. That really didn't really flesh out too much until like when Maria ended up dying. And Dom acted like a sore little person about it, which is rightfully so. But like he was really emotional throughout the rest of the game, and then leading into 3 as well, and until his potential demise. Sorry, spoiler alert, but the game's been out for like 8 years, so you should already played it or heard about it at least.
This is true.
But eventually he does go back and find her body, and it was tortured so badly, but yeah, that was a little point where things got a little emotional in a Gears of War game, which I didn't expect.
Yeah, you don't, because that game's kind of shallow.
Yeah, it's very meatheadish, and then they throw the emotional daggers at you, out of nowhere.
Like
so
choking on tears. Yeah. Let's see here. Let's keep moving down the list. And you know what? There's some things that we're probably not going to mention, Brandon. There's millions, not millions, maybe millions, thousands of games from like the NES days to now that we could be forgetting characters. You know, if you think of a character that you're like, oh my gosh, why aren't they talking about this? Type it in our Facebook community or put it in the comments below, just so that we know, because we'll add it. We'll just know from there on out. You know, because we don't think about this stuff on a daily basis. Yeah. The other one, you have the Stick of Truth, South Park, right? And who's our favorite people in South Park there that have romance going on? You know, Stan and Kyle. I mean, what? No, I'm just kidding. Wendy and Stan. Because, you know, he pukes every time she kisses him. I think he got over that. But yeah, they're the classic couple. It's mainly the other one was from some episodes in your season was Cartman and Kyle. How Cartman was like, "It's my boyfriend, stay away from him." And because the new girl liked Kyle.
Another surprise one for me here. I didn't think that. I don't know how it would resonate with fans after they play the initial game, but in the Last of Us DLC Left Behind, there was a relationship between Ellie and her partner Riley, and it is first known the fact like, hey, yeah, Ellie is either a lesbian because she actually kissed Riley, or bisexual because we don't exactly know,
or they're just really good friends.
No, you could definitely tell while playing that they're actually in a legit relationship.
Sure.
Well, I thought, I really like to your point, I thought they handled that. Again, this is Naughty Dog handling a relationship with a lot of care.
Mm-hmm.
But I thought they did a great job with that, putting it in the DLC at the end. So you've already grown to really have an affection towards Ellie as a player,
right? And
then you see her in that other light, and it's a great way to build off of her character or build her character up, and especially with them revealing that they're working on part 2 and all that stuff. Like,
mm-hmm.
we have no idea if that's going to play into the story or not, but it's a great background.
Right.
Like they do a great job building the background and building the backstory of that character.
I mean, I can go on to a whole entire another podcast of like speculation of what Last of Us Part 2 is going to be, but I'm not going to do that here. But I will say the fact that like I just found it really, I don't know, I guess I could say comforting, or I felt it like I felt okay. I didn't feel hurt or anything like that when I found out the fact that Ellie could be like this. I really and honestly, when this happened, I just didn't care. And I don't know how other games.
I mean, it doesn't make you dislike the character, right?
No, it doesn't. Like the fact that actually that it came out as that, it makes me respect her even more. For me, I don't know how other people would take it, but to me, I found, I was like, oh, this is something more I found out about this person, that like this video game character that like I didn't know, and heck, I like her even more now because the fact she became more open, or at least it
adds more depth to the character.
To the character, exactly. That's what I mean.
Yeah, I think it makes characters more real when there's different nuances within them, because that line starts to blur from like stale character to like, you almost think of them as a real person after that.
Yeah,
which is kind of cool.
Yeah, and you've just spent however long you've played The Last of Us in a almost like a father-daughter type role with her, and then she gets to break out and be her own, like build her own story. And I think that's one of the things that's strongest about that DLC, was her having her own story and building her off of that, just singularly without having Joel involved.
Right.
That's pretty sweet. Yeah. Let's see here. Dante, did you have any? I know we're probably missing something in like the Nintendo Fire Emblem world or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, there's a bunch of them, but like two that I really wanted to point out was Prince of Persia 2008. Was the reboot on the Xbox 360 and the PlayStation 3. I thought the relationship with Alika and the prince himself was really cool. It was very similar to Alex and Gordon from Half-Life, like that
okay.
type of like helpful and a lot of affection there, while also being a game mechanic.
Interesting.
So.
What about the one that you had too, Chris? I never really played that game, but Max and Mona.
Yes,
from Max
Max
Payne.
and Mona from Max Payne. That was like during the time where I was like playing games on a PC. But
oh wow,
yeah. But no, Max lost his family. He went on a revenge rampage kind of a thing, and they threw this little relationship in there. Exactly, they didn't really throw it in, but like they developed this relationship of another woman in there, and she's like kind of like torn up, just like torn up emotionally wise, just like Max is. And they dive into the relationship of them, and they of course had sex and all this other stuff. And it turns out the fact that like she was actually sent to kill him, but actually ended up falling in love with him, and she couldn't kill him. So, again, for people who have not played the game, I'm sorry, but that game came out like a long time ago. So, spoilers.
Yeah, years.
Yeah,
years is. Do you have anything else to add before we go to the next section, Dante?
I think my other one is on the bad side, so I'm all good. I can wait for that one.
Okay. All right. Sounds good. So, one thing that I did want to bring up that was interesting, when talking about relationships in video games, there was a video game that had a different twist on relationships, and that's Catherine. That came out on Xbox 360 and also PS3, which was a puzzle platformer / adventure game, and that was who made that? That was an Atlas game, and yeah, and then also the same developers that created Persona, this Persona series. Mm-hmm. And you play a guy named Vincent Brooks, who he begins having these crazy nightmares with like sheeps and weird things about his girlfriend, and then he starts to talk about marriage. His girlfriend Catherine starts to bring up about marriage and commitment and all that stuff, and it freaks him out. He just keeps having nightmares, right? And then he meets this other girl and starts to have an affair with her. And the nightmares become more intense as the affair continues. So it's kind of interesting about. It's just I don't advocate cheating and stuff like that. That's not a good thing. I'd never have done it, and I won't. And but like it's just interesting because it's a whole polar opposite of relationships and romance. It's this weird puzzle platformer adventure game that's about cheating and affairs and fear of commitment. So I figured we'd add that to the list because it's interesting.
It is interesting,
and it's also a good game if you haven't played it.
How many games out there based off of a relationship too? Like that's just a really cool premise.
Yeah, it's unique. You don't really see something like that too often. On that note, we'll start to segue into this the second portion. But before we do, I just can't wait to get my Nintendo Switch.
2 weeks,
right? 2 weeks? Is it 2 weeks now?
2 weeks from Friday. Yeah.
The first game I ordered was the Zelda, the Breath of the Wild. I mean, Breath of the Wild.
Oh my god! Yeah, you get that one.
Yeah. So
we'll go tit for tat with you later on that.
All right, yeah, but no, that game's gonna be amazing. I can't wait to get it and play it. The Zelda part. Yes, and we're gonna move into the good, the bad, or not enough in the video game areas in regards to adult-themed video games, right?
Mm-hmm.
The first one I'm going to bring up that's on my list, and then we can switch and go, throughout each one of us, is obviously The Witcher 3. That caused a lot of controversy recently because it's a newer game, and there was, a bunch of sex scenes in that.
Yeah.
How do you guys feel about that? Was it good? Was it bad? Was it not enough? Was it like, what the heck? Dante, you have a fun story, I know you do, to share about that.
Yeah, the sex scenes didn't...
Did it make you feel awkward at all? I mean, like, that's the main thing we're talking about. Were they awkward? Were they cool? Or were they were like, yes? Or were you like, ugh, this is
just
weird?
To get the story out of the way, I'd been playing The Witcher, and I'd been playing The Witcher 3, and my fiance came home, and it just so happened to be the beginning of one of the sex scenes when she came home. And
figures, right?
Yeah, right. And she's like, "What do you do?" Like, what I got out, gave her a hug and a kiss, hi, and all that stuff, and the game's still going on in the background. and she's like, "What are you playing?" I'm like, "I'm playing The Witcher." And she's like, "Oh, the sword and magic game." I'm like, "Yeah." And she's like, "Are they having sex?" I'm like, "They're about to." And she's like, they have sex in video games? Like, yes, honey, they have sex in video games. And then, I had to go through the whole explanation and all that stuff. And she's like, well, good for him.
That's funny.
Yeah. But I don't, for that game specifically, I don't think it makes a big difference, either or, but.
Was it kind of funny? I mean, or,
Oh, yeah, I mean, she laughed at it. She thought it was funny. But it's obviously weird to explain because these are digital characters.
Well, yeah, but that you also have invested time into and got to know better and built up. So at that point, you're like, yeah, get some, do it, good job. Maybe you weren't, but I was.
I don't know that I was rooting him on, but it was. I'm happy for my little digital warrior in there to get some, right?
There you go.
Go have some fun. You earned it. You just took out a werewolf.
Right?
Do you, buddy? Do you?
What about you, Chris? Have you played The Witcher 3 and experienced that?
No. I mean, I dabbled probably maybe a couple hours into The Witcher 3, but that game for me was just too massive, and there's just like so much going on in too open world. So I was like. Around the time, I think more games were coming out, and I was like, I wasn't in a place to sit down with that much of an open world game.
You had a fear of commitment, Chris.
You know what? You shut your mouth.
It sounds like that's what you're saying, is that you had a fear of committing to The Witcher 3.
Well, I actually wanted to go back into the complete edition, because I wanted the complete experience. I didn't want just partial. I wanted the whole thing.
All right.
It is. I mean, to your point, it is a massive undertaking.
It really is.
That game is unequivocally just gigantic.
I can't remember, but I was talking to Anthony, and he was telling me I was visiting him at the time in Florida, and we were playing Witcher 3, going back and forth, taking turns, and we were on the first map area, and I'm like, "How long have you played this game?" He put hours into this game just on the first map, though. Unlocking everything, and then he was super leveled up, so when he started to go through to beat the game, he was just destroying people and things and monsters and stuff, because he's spent so much time discovering every nook and cranny. And that I am guilty of that too, because I have that OCD RPG background of let's discover all the secrets and find everything and unlock everything. It's almost like a completionist sickness. You want to complete stuff. I think it's more like a cool thing instead of a sickness, though. This means we're more committed than others.
All right, we'll take a little jab.
But for real though, it was cool to experience that stuff, and I grew from that. So when I went to go play my game, I learned things that I didn't realize about the game, and it helped me progress through mine too. So props to him on that one. But yeah, it could just show you that there's so much in that game. It's so open that it's crazy.
Yeah, I think because that was such a big game, especially for what it had been previously in the series, it took a lot of people by surprise, and they didn't know what they were getting into. So when you get a Mass Effect type sex scene in there, it takes people off guard. So
there you go, and Mass Effect is on the list too.
Yeah.
That's a good segue, right?
It's a perfect segue. Now, personally, I haven't experienced it, even though I played Mass Effect. I guess I didn't have enough patience to get through to that part. Had I known there had been sex scenes, I might have stuck it out.
Yes, they're in all three of them, actually. You can...
Are they even good, or they were cheesy? I remember that game, some of the animation was really, no pun intended, but the animations were kind of stiff and not fully...
It was definitely stiff. I mean, I don't think they really showed anything. I don't.
So how do you know they're having sex?
Fact,
was it just sex initiating, hit X, and then next scene?
Kind of, yeah. Actually, to be honest.
And then you woke up, and you're like, sweet, that was great, thank you.
And they you see them without their clothes off, or they're putting the clothes back on, and then you're like, oh, okay, well, we all know you guys just did. Okay,
so it was implied innuendo that okay.
It wasn't like other games.
Graphically.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, speaking of graphic, let's jump into the next part. How about that? Grand Theft Auto series, right? You got the San Andreas hot coffee mod thing. We can actually see them having sex.
That was
right.
That was wow.
That was such a huge mess. That was such a huge mess up on their part. I just remember that being.
Yeah. It wasn't even a mod, I think. That was a bug.
Yeah, it was like national. I remember that being national news on cable networks.
Yeah.
And things like
and they had to
cable
come out with
networks.
a different edition of it.
Yeah.
To take it out.
I have the hot coffee version.
Yeah. I had been working at a video game store at that time, and we had to send back our current copies and wait for
the new ones,
copies.
the patched versions to come out.
Yep, I remember they got a huge fine and all that stuff. But yeah, I remember that. But like Grand Theft Auto 3 is what popped. I'm pretty sure that's what popped my cherry into video game sex.
Yeah, same here.
Like I'm pretty sure.
And then let's see. I mean, I think they all from there on out. Like Grand Theft Auto 4, you had the goals of trying to text girls and try to date them and have sex with them. That was also in the big thing in GTA 5 is the strip clubs.
Yeah.
You could literally get lap dances and pay for strip clubs and multiple girls and, you know, have sex with your girlfriends on your cell phone, you know, and like go to their houses and stuff and like.
And actually, you could actually end up getting the stripper's number and she can actually come to you.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, so that was a huge, I don't want to say huge component of the game, but it was a very large thing that they had to take time and develop to have some gameplay around that. I'm sure if you wanted to just do that for a while, you could.
Yeah. But then you really, if you really wanted that stripper's number, you really had to work, you had to really throw some money. I remember that.
But yeah, you could you're earning money. You're robbing people and stealing cars, and come on, man, you got that money.
Yeah, but it's like 15 minutes of literally, oh yeah, here's some money, make it rain, make it rain.
Make it rain. I mean, that was pretty fun to do, I admit, so make it rain. And then, Chris, you mentioned God of War.
Yes, there were, I believe there was literally in every single God of War game, there was at least one sex scene where you actually had to tap circle.
X or circle or something,
X
right?
Or circle, until like
I remember
to go
that.
harder.
Didn't they? Didn't they have like a? Wasn't there a joystick swirl too?
Yes,
if I remember correctly.
I'm assuming to switch positions at that point.
Yes, because you were in a hot tub, I think, in one scene with girls,
Yep.
a bunch of girls.
And then there was a hot tub, and then there was actually the bed part. And then,
I remember that
and then
too.
there was X circle, X, blah 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 blah, and then you do the little swirl thing and you change positions. Then but they didn't actually really show it. You just implied it because then all you hear is like moaning going on in the background and like a bunch of thumping noises.
Yeah, which was kind of funny. Let's see. The next one was Far Cry 3 Blood Dragon, right?
Yep.
You got Dr. Darling and Rex Colt getting it on in this like classical looking sex scene where it's like purple and black and they're silhouetted and you could tell one's on top of the other. I think she was on top of him, and you could just see what's going on. I mean, it was sex, but it was like, you know, more of an animated thing. It wasn't like real people thing like The Witcher.
And believe it or not, that actually happened in the actual Far Cry 3 game and not just Blood Dragon.
See, I didn't realize that.
Yeah. That was weird within itself because that actually happened, I believe, twice. That happened.
Oh wow!
Like in the first time it happened, you're like, oh, that's interesting, and the second part it happened, which was like there's alternate ending to the game. You can either leave the island with your friends, or you could meet back up with this chick, and then there's like this whole tribunal thing going on, and you guys have sex on top of this hilltop or whatever. And like as soon as you go in her, she kills you.
Interesting.
Yeah, that was weird.
It's pretty weird.
Yeah.
And then you brought up the other one, Heavy Rain.
Heavy Rain, yeah, and you can. It was more lines of a choice if you really wanted to go that route between Ethan and I believe the name Kate or something like that. I think that's what
I can't remember her name. I wish I could help you. I cannot remember her name.
I think that's the name of her.
I didn't even know that was an option. I like that game. I don't think I went down that route.
It was like right after the point where he was really hurt and Ethan was really hurt and
and he was vulnerable.
And then like they were like, I think it was like after the electric part, I guess, or maybe the finger part. I don't know. All I know is the fact that it was an option for it to happen, where you could like advance and move on it. But like the animations for that was just like so beyond weird.
Like I have to go back and play that just to see, because I think I was naive and didn't even understand what was going on, and I was like, no, I'm not wasting my time. Let's keep going.
Like, them kissing was just like the most awkward thing I could possibly watch. I was like, what is going on? What is this? But yeah.
I will bring up the most weirdest one of all, and it was so weird that Kotaku picked it up and published an article about it, and it's Doom. And it was the guy who created a lot of different mods for Doom, and it's called H-Doom. And it's a mod for Doom that turns Doom into this anime hentai dating sim. There's, you're not rocking around shooting demons or whatever, but all the demons have been morphed into these sexy anime girls that are like half demon and half women, with fully naked. And you're having conversations with them, and pretty much everybody's banging everybody and having sex with everybody in hell, and that's your goal, to do that as well. And you have these very hilarious conversations with these different women and demon women, and then you're hitting the space bar and doing things to sex them up, which is really weird. I don't know how else to say it. It's kind of odd, but yeah, it caused so much controversy in the gaming space that some people were like, "This is awful," and blah blah. And they wrote an article about it, and the developer, he was bored and he had fun with it. He wasn't doing it to be serious, and he wasn't doing it to like get kicks and offend people on purpose. He was just like, who gives a crap? Let's make this for fun. This is hilarious. Right. There's nothing like this exists. Let's maybe he did it to piss some people off, but he was just like, let's just have fun with this. But it was in no way meant to be a serious thing. So, because it was kind of just scrapped together really quick. I have to say that was the weirdest one. Dante, do you have any to add to this?
The only weird one I had was Fable, and it didn't even really ever show you having sex. It's more just the process of wooing somebody. You would have to buy a home.
Because can't you like marry someone or something like that?
Yeah. You'd buy a home, and then you'd make a bunch of heroic gestures, and then you'd make them fall in love with you, and you buy a ring and get married and all that stuff. It was super weird, but it was just very, very goofy in an otherwise even goofier game. Just a great mechanic, and just a lot of laughs.
Yeah, that was pretty funny. I remember that. I still have that game for Xbox 360. The Fable, was it Fable 3 that did that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, 3 was for 360. And 2. 2 was on 360.
And 2, okay. That's right. Okay, so, I mean, we're pretty much done running through the list, and we're close to wrapping up the podcast here, but let's pose one last question, and if you're still listening, props to you for sticking through with everything, because we were just being goofy and stuff, but, we stayed on topic for the most part. In all seriousness, though, Chris brought up a good point earlier, and we were all talking about this. 2 questions I pose. One is, does sexuality in games, should there be more of it? Does it make a difference, or does it enhance gameplay? And the second question, super quick, is to follow that up is there too much sex in video games or not enough, or is it just right?
I believe it's just right, because I believe it's just right. You have your things that you expect in different video games. I mean, it's not like abundant amount. You expect it in God of War. You expect it in Grand Theft Auto. Becomes like kind of the norm, and now you kind of expect it in The Witcher. And since now that it happened in like other games in the franchises and whatnot, you kind of expect it to keep along the trend. But then with games that come out of nowhere, they like don't have like a series, like a franchise behind it, kind of like Lollipop Chainsaw. When that came out, that was like beyond ridiculous.
Oh, I forgot about that game. That was a fun game.
Yeah, it's just like I mean, those games those are only for like, I guess if you really want to dabble into it. But those, I mean, if you see the name Lollipop Chainsaw, I mean, come on, you gotta think it with your head and be like, okay, I really know what I'm getting myself into with that kind of name?
Sure. And the thing that you pointed out with, Last of Us and stuff like that, with the difference in sexuality of the characters and stuff like that, and different gender, I personally think that different things of the way Naughty Dog displays their characters are very unique, and I don't know, I think it adds to it. Surprises like that are always, I think surprises in video games are the best, and I personally didn't expect to have sexuality and different things inserted into certain video games, especially like The Witcher. I wasn't expecting that, and it kind of threw me off guard, but it didn't turn me off of it. It just kind of was like, it's an added layer of interest.
Right.
Okay, cool. I wasn't offended in any way, but yeah, it's interesting. What about you, Dante?
I think we're probably past the point of surprise and it being in a jarring fashion, like the original God of War and Grand Theft Auto 3. Things like that are you're not going to be taken surprise more than likely anymore. It's games aren't really doing that now to be gratuitous or to be jarring or take you by surprise, things like that. It's more than likely now you're seeing it more in a more tasteful, artful manner that's servicing a story or servicing a scene or servicing a character. So if it's done in that way, do whatever it's your game. Do what you do. I don't really care either way. It doesn't bother me. It doesn't usually help me enjoy the game more or be immersed in the game more.
Yeah, it's not going to have me buy the game more or not be interested in the game for some reason. I need this stuff in there.
Yeah, like we brought up Ellie earlier, that her sexuality builds off of her character, but it's not done in a gratuitous manner.
Yes, correct. It was done in a subtle character growth way.
Right.
Sure. And I think if you're doing it that way, if you're servicing the story, servicing the character, servicing the game, I think you can do whatever you want. Like we talked about Nate and Elena earlier, they don't have an overly sexualized relationship, but they have a very human relationship.
Right.
Yes.
So if you're getting in that direction, then you're doing well.
Yeah,
I think you're doing it the
right way.
Were you
making people have feelings, right?
Yeah, and the same goes for The Witcher 3 also. Like Geralt and Triss, like that relationship, there is a lot of history behind it. It's not just a hit it and quit it type thing. Like there's a lot of history and a lot of feeling there between those two characters. So
exactly.
I'm for it if it's done if it's done in a good fashion and done in an artful fashion.
Agreed. Well, on that note, we'll end it on a positive, happy note. And for everybody that's listening, I know there are quite a few females that do listen to this. Thanks for listening in, and happy Valentine's Day to everybody.
Happy Valentine's Day, Sarah. I know you won't listen to this. Love you. Bye.
Happy Valentine's
All right, see you, everyone. Have a great day. Bye-bye.
Bye.